The king's command, a deadly labor assigned. Heracles stood before Eurystheus, king of tyrants. His face was grim, his muscles bulged, a testament to his divine strength and the trials he had already endured. He had completed his first labor, slaying the Nemean lion, a beast whose hide was impervious to weapons. Heracles had used his immense strength to strangle the lion, and now wore its skin as a cloak, a symbol of his victory and a reminder of his prowess. Now, a new challenge awaited. The air was thick with tension as the king prepared to speak. Eurystheus trembled before the demigod's might. The king, though powerful in his own right, was no match for the son of Zeus. His fear was palpable, his hands shaking as he clutched the arms of his throne. He spoke, his voice a nervous whisper. "Heracles," he began, his voice barely audible over the pounding of his own heart. "Your next task." "The Lernaean Hydra." Heracles listened intently. The Hydra. The name alone was enough to send shivers down the spines of even the bravest warriors. A beast of immense power. The Hydra was no ordinary creature. It was a monstrous serpent with multiple heads, each one more deadly than the last. A serpent with many heads. Legend had it that for every head cut off, 2 more would grow in its place, making it nearly invincible. Each head capable of spewing death. The Hydra's breath was toxic, its bite venomous. It was a creature born of nightmares, a true test of Heracles' strength and courage. A chill ran down Heracles' spine. This was no mere beast. This was a monster of epic proportions, a challenge that would test his limits. This was no mere beast. This was a monster. A creature that had terrorized the land for years, leaving destruction in its wake. But Heracles was no coward. He had faced death before and emerged victorious. He knew that this task, though daunting, was not impossible. He would face this threat. He would triumph. With a determined heart and unwavering resolve, Heracles prepared himself for the battle ahead. The Hydra awaited, but so did his destiny. He would not falter, he would not fail. For he was Heracles, the greatest of all heroes. Terror of Lerna, the Hydra's reign of fear. Lurking in the swamps of Lerna, the Hydra spread terror. This ancient beast born from the depths of myth was a creature of nightmares. Its presence alone was enough to send shivers down the spines of those who dared to venture near. A monstrous serpent, its scales glistened with an eerie, otherworldly light. Each scale, a testament to its invulnerability, reflected the dim light of the swamp, creating an almost hypnotic effect. It had numerous heads, each one deadly. These heads, constantly moving, seemed to have a mind of their own, each capable of independent thought and action. The sight of these writhing heads was enough to paralyze even the bravest of souls. They swayed and writhed, fangs dripping venom. This venom was not just any poison, it was a concoction so potent that a single drop could bring about a swift and agonizing death. The Hydra's fangs were weapons of pure destruction. The stench of death clung to the creature. The very ground it slithered upon seemed to rot and decay, leaving a trail of desolation in its wake. The swamp, already a place of foreboding, became even more sinister with the Hydra's presence. The Hydra's breath was toxic. It poisoned the very air, making it difficult for any living creature to breathe. The toxic fumes that emanated from its mouth were a constant reminder of its lethal nature. The Hydra's breath was toxic. Its very exhalation could wilt the strongest of plants and bring down the mightiest of beasts. The air around it was thick with the scent of decay and death. Its venom, a swift and agonizing death. Those unfortunate enough to be bitten by the Hydra would find themselves in excruciating pain, their bodies shutting down as the venom coursed through their veins. There was no escape from its deadly bite. It preyed on anything that strayed near, livestock, travelers. No one was safe from its insatiable hunger. The Hydra was a relentless predator, always on the hunt for its next victim. Even heroes dared not approach. The tales of the Hydra's ferocity were enough to keep even the most valiant warriors at bay. They knew that facing the Hydra was a death sentence. The people of Lerna lived in fear. Every day was a struggle for survival, with the constant threat of the Hydra looming over them. They could never let their guard down, always wary of the monster that lurked in the shadows. They whispered prayers for deliverance. In their desperation, they turned to the gods, hoping for a miracle. Their prayers were filled with hope and despair, a plea for someone to save them from the Hydra's reign of terror. Only Heracles, it seemed, could answer their pleas. The legendary hero, known for his incredible strength and bravery, was their last hope. With his mighty club in hand and a determined expression on his face, Heracles set out to confront the beast, ready to end its reign of fear once and for all. Journey to Lerna, preparing for the unthinkable. Heracles journeyed south. His nephew, Iolaus, rode beside him. They carried weapons forged by the gods, a sword of celestial bronze, a bow with arrows dipped in Hydra venom. They rode in silence. The weight of their task pressed upon them. The air grew heavy. The stench of decay filled their nostrils. They had arrived at the swamps of Lerna, the Hydra's domain. Despair hung thick in the air. But Heracles felt no fear, only determination. He would not fail. Clash of Might, Heracles and the Hydra's Fury. In the annals of Greek mythology, few battles are as legendary as the one between Heracles and the fearsome Hydra. This tale of bravery, strength, and cunning has been passed down through generations, capturing the imagination of all who hear it. Heracles and Iolaus entered the swamp. The stench was overpowering. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and the ground was treacherous, threatening to swallow them whole with every step. They knew they were venturing into the lair of a beast unlike any other. The ground squelched beneath their feet. Each step was a struggle, the mud clinging to their sandals and making progress slow and arduous. But Heracles was undeterred, his resolve as unyielding as the sword he carried. They moved cautiously, senses alert. Every rustle of leaves, every ripple in the water, set their nerves on edge. Then they saw it. The Hydra, a creature of nightmares, its many heads swaying menacingly above the water's surface. It rose from the murky water, a hissing, multi-headed horror. Heracles wasted no time. He knew that hesitation could mean death. With a roar he charged at the beast, his sword gleaming in the dim light. He charged, his sword flashing. He severed a head. The creature's blood sprayed, but Heracles barely noticed. He was focused, his mind a whirlwind of strategy and instinct. But two more grew in its place. The Hydra attacked, its heads lashed out like striking vipers, each one a deadly threat. Heracles realized that brute strength alone would not be enough to defeat this monster. Its head struck with blinding speed. Heracles dodged and weaved. His movements were a blur, a dance of life and death. He had to find a way to outsmart the beast, to turn its own power against it. He fought with the strength of a god. Each swing of his sword was precise, each dodge calculated. He was a warrior born, and this was his ultimate test. But the Hydra was relentless. Its heads regenerated faster than he could sever them, and its attacks grew more ferocious with each passing moment. Heracles knew he needed a new strategy, and fast. He called out to Iolaus, who had been watching the battle unfold. Together they devised a plan to cauterize the necks of the severed heads, preventing them from regrowing. With renewed determination, Heracles resumed his assault, while Iolaus used a burning torch to sear the wounds. The tide of battle began to turn, and the once invincible Hydra started to weaken. Heracles pressed on, his every move a testament to his indomitable spirit and unyielding courage. A godsend aid, Iolaus and the burning brands. The battle raged. Heracles fought bravely, but the Hydra's heads kept growing back. He was tiring. He needed a plan. Then, an idea struck him. He called to Iolaus. "Fire!" he roared. "Bring fire!" Iolaus raced back to their cart. He returned moments later. He carried burning brands. Heracles struck again. He severed a head. Iolaus acted quickly. He seared the stump with the burning brand. The head did not grow back. They had found a way. Triumph and tribulation, the Hydra's demise. Heracles and Iolaus fought as one. Heracles, the unstoppable warrior. Iolaus, the vigilant guardian. Head after head fell. The air filled with the stench of burning flesh. The Hydra thrashed and writhed, but it was losing. Finally, only one head remained. This head was immortal. Heracles struck it down. He buried it deep beneath a rock. The Hydra was no more. Heracles had triumphed, but the victory was bittersweet. He had faced a terrible foe, and he had been forced to kill. The Hydra's legacy, a timeless symbol of resilience. Heracles returned to Eurystheus. He recounted his tale. The king paled at the description of the battle. He could scarcely believe Heracles' victory, but the proof was there. The stench of the Hydra clung to Heracles. The Hydra's defeat was a momentous event. It marked Heracles as a true hero, but the Hydra's story did not end there. It became a symbol of resilience, of the persistence of evil. The Hydra may have been slain, but its legend lived on. Onward, mighty hero, the labors continue. Heracles rested. He knew his task was far from over. 10 labors remained, each one more dangerous than the last. But Heracles was undeterred. He had faced the Hydra and emerged victorious. He could face anything. He would go on. He would complete his labors, he would become a legend, the greatest hero of all time. But for now, he rested, and he remembered the Hydra, and the lessons it had taught him.